Hello everyone and welcome to a new video. Today I'm here to talk about a problem that Genshin has been having ever since the game released, to be honest, or at least since they added that mechanic to the game. And what I'm here to talk about today is the crafting. But not exactly this crafting or this crafting, the artifact crafting, the strong box stuff. And the reason why I really have been wanting to talk about this for a long time now is because, like, yes, cool, we get the option to craft any artifacts that we actually need here. Not every single one of them. The newer ones take longer to get added. Anyway, the thing is, this is great and awesome that they let you do this. But every single time that you want to get more of an artifact of a different set, or maybe your artifact inventory is just filled with a lot of golden artifacts and you have little to no space for the food artifacts they're gonna use for XP. Perhaps you want to come here and craft the artifact strong blocks for the specific artifact that you want. But the biggest problem here is that you have to check one by one, and this is the biggest problem I've been having with Genshin for a long time now. Every time I hate when I get full of golden artifacts because I have to come to the strong craft of strong boxes, because it's so painfully boring and slow. Because when you click on an artifact, by the way, this is new, right? But when you click on an artifact, you only have two options. You can either lock the artifact, which does its job if you have a really good artifact and you think, okay, this is pretty good. I want to like this one, for example. There's two crit rate, crit damage, some flat attack, but some elemental mastery. This can be pretty good. But it's attack goblet. Let's say it was a sand, right? An attack sand. I could lock it and it would do its job. Now I know that this is a good artifact that I'll probably want to level up at some point. And everyone, including me, was pretty satisfied when they did this, because before it was kind of annoying having to see one by one which artifact you're gonna have to level up, or you want to level up, right? If they weren't already leveled up to level 20 or something like that, for you to easily spot them, now you can lock them to find them with more ease than before, right? And then for some reason that I don't know why they did this, they added this favorite artifact system, which is completely useless because it serves the same exact, it is the same exact thing as the lock here. It indicates to you that this is a good artifact that you probably want to level up, or maybe it's one that you have already leveled up that is pretty good. So I can't understand why this exists, because sometimes you might have a lot of locked artifacts and you might go and you want to find a specific one. So instead of going one by one, you can see just by the star here that this is the one that is really good that you want to use on one character or in a lot of characters, for example. So it serves this purpose, but it's so weird that this specific function gets added on top of an already existing function to separate artifacts, to separate them even more. And in the meanwhile, you don't have the most basic option in this UI that is literally just a trash button. This is the most basic thing that any other gacha these days adds to when they have an artifact system like this or something similar. They always add the trash button. Star Rail has this, ZZZ has this, Wuthering Waves has it, and many other gacha games have a specific mark for an artifact to mark it as trash, but Genshin doesn't. And why is that a problem? Why do I want to come here and say, oh, they should add this thing to Genshin, it is necessary? The reason why is because every single time you get full of artifacts, you have to come here and check, okay, now that this thing is added, I can throw this artifact away. Okay, now that this thing is added, I know that I can keep this artifact. Perhaps some character might use it. Oh, but what about this one, and this one, and this one? And then you have to do this for all the artifacts that you have. If not, like, most of them, if not all, And that is so painfully boring. Like, look at, like, I could just mass select like this, but then I won't know if I'm throwing away something good. So I have to check one by one and see like how many artifacts of the same exact set I have, that I just have to check one by one to see which one I can throw away and which one I gotta keep. And it is so bad. It is so such a slow, painful process to go through every single time. Yes, you only have to do it once every like 2, 3, 4 months, depending of how much artifacts you are farming, right? Perhaps you're farming more to level up a character or something like that, so, or a weapon, so you don't end up not farming so many artifacts. But it is still something that eventually you need to get to it, and it's just so slow, so boring. If they added a trash option to mark an artifact as trash, once you completed a domain, you could just check the artifacts there. Okay, pretty bad, honestly. Only crit rate and elemental mastery for this set, not that bad. Then you mark it as trash. Then, oh, perhaps this one, pretty bad, I'll also mark it as trash. And then you go and you continue farming, and that way you could easily spot while you're farming which artifacts you want to lock and which you want to trash. So when you get to this point where you need to craft strong boxes, you could just click the auto add button. But instead of adding whatever it feels like, it would actually add all the artifacts that are marked as trash that you can throw away, and that would speed up this process so much, like sometimes you can just spend so long just checking one by one. And yes, if you're used like, okay, this set is too general in my opinion, let's check another one. Like let's say this artifact, the Natlan DPS set, it is good for Molani, she uses HP, and it is good for everyone else who uses attack. And if I remember correctly, defense is only for Shilonen, and if you're going to build Shilonen DPS, then you can save defense stuff, artifacts that have defense here, but if not, then you don't need. So you can just check, okay, this one has attack, crit rate, but then it's HP, so it's kind of trash. Then this one, so I can just click, check, and then go to the next one. So like, it might not seem like that big of a deal, right? That you just check one by one. It's not that, it doesn't take that long. It's just click, check, click, check, click, check. Oh, this one is good, then you mark it, right? But still, the fact that Genshin has been evolving so much, right? Especially with nod-krai now. Like, I was just doing the Archon quest right now, right? A little bit of it before starting this video. And you can see that the whole game is evolving as a whole, right? Not just the character models, the animations, but like a lot of things are getting improved as the game is progressing to nod-krai, right? But this one simple, very basic thing that I feel have like needed to have been added a long time ago, that has never been added to the game. It is like, to me, it does not make sense. Why? It just does not make sense why they just don't add this very simple button. They have already done it before with the favorite thingy, right? So why don't they do it again? Add a third button, that let us mark as trash or something like that, right? Because we have like lock a system that help us lock artifacts with the specific main stat and substats. We have a lot of stuff here, but we don't have this one simple thing that we could just trash an artifact and speed up this process by so much. Because then I just come here, I auto add, boom, and I craft, and then I keep doing that until I run out of artifacts that I've trashed, So I don't need to look at them one by one, because like all of these artifacts, right? Like all of these Natlan artifacts that have been farming for such a long time. Maybe even Fontaine if they added it back then. Maybe even in Sumeru if they added back then, right? I could have just mark them as trash and just speed up this process. And like, this is something that it would have come up now, right? Because now that we can see the fourth substat, then even if we had this option to trash artifacts before, we would still need, after 6.0 to check every single artifact to know if they are still good enough, right? So we still need to check that manually, but still it would speed up so many more things. It would be so much better if we just had this one simple button to trash an artifact. And that to me is like so crazy that they haven't changed that in the game, that like it is just wild to me. So like, I try in every single survey that they give us, right? This one I still have to answer, but every single survey they have done recently, I've tried saying like, please add a trash button to the game, because it is just wild how it's not here, but Honkai Star Rail has it. Like, when it released you have this function. ZZZ, the same thing, right? And then Wuthering Waves and like so many other games have this trash function. So why does Genshin not have it? And how this is another thing to me, like how this is not complained as much by the community. It's also weird to me, because this, like, I don't know if I'm just crazy here and everyone is just like, oh no, I prefer, you know, other games have the trash function that we can just auto add, but I prefer checking in manually. It's actually more fun and entertaining. I engage with my trash artifacts in a more fun way. I don't know if I don't see the game like that, and everyone else does, but this feels like something that the entire community should have been asking by now. And I know there's people out there who have been asking for this. So it is crazy to me how this apparently is not that big of an issue, at least in the devs' eyes, that they haven't like talked about it for so long. They haven't addressed this in any of the special programs or stuff like that. They haven't talked about adding this to the artifact system. And like recently in the 6.0 special stream, right, they had that kind of list, not list, but those words in the screen, right, representing like the problems that the game had and stuff like that. And it's wild to me that this trash function wasn't there, like as something they wanted to implement in the game, you know. To me, it's just wild how we don't have this in Genshin. It doesn't make any sense to me. So yeah, so anyway, I just wanted to rant about it a little bit, because it is something that it just gets on my nerves so much recently, because every single time I get closer and closer to the limit, and I keep thinking, oh, I had to go back to the strong box stuff. It is a dreadful moment on my, you know, when I'm playing games, and I just feel like the devs should have added this trash function by now, because it's like they've literally done it before, but it's, you know, like, anyway, I just wanted to rant about it a little bit. Thanks everyone who watched, and see you guys in the next video or in the next stream. Thanks everyone, and yeah, goodbye.